All right, so we're here on another Wednesday, and this week we're talking about Charles Curtis. So, Charles Curtis was a politician, he studied law, and he was vice president around the time of Coolidge and Hoover. He was vice president for Calvin Coolidge. Before that, he served for Congress or in Congress. So, he was in both the House of Representatives at one point, and then I think he was in the Senate. I found another person, or what seemed to be another person named Charles Curtis, who was alive at the same time. And this particular individual was a botanist. So I thought perhaps maybe he was a botanist in addition to being involved in serving and representing people in the government. So I included botany as one of the topics for this week in one of the books. But for the most part, I highlighted the fact that he's remembered as, I believe, maybe the first and only Native individual to be vice president. And then also, it was very memorable how long he served in Congress. So, what I read about his familial history or his family history was that he was mixed. He identified as being mixed, Native, and then European. And then the description that I read was just on Wikipedia. I'm trying to do better with remembering what I read about the person, but this reading was pretty memorable because it mentioned. How he was supposed to inherit some money from his mom because he came from a family that passed along inheritances through the mother's lineage instead of through the father's. So there was a little bit of a struggle to kind of get the land inheritance, I think. And I only remember that because it's a reoccurring theme, right? It's a reoccurring theme with Native individuals, and just remembering what I read for Thanksgiving last year. Is it last year or the year before that? And how law recognizes Native lands and how Native individuals might have to work or fight or defend ownership of the land. So, anyway, I'm not entirely sure what the focus will be for putting together the week of itineraries, how we'll kind of find a specific representation of the week's theme. But we can go ahead and get started and find a quiz, a trivia quiz. Charles Curtis, itinerary for later, and United States Indian history or Native history. With most of the books that I found this week, I found that most of them written by Native individuals refer to themselves as Indians, like mixed Indian heritage. So I'll search both and then see what we find. So, Native American trivia quiz. Native American history trivia quiz. Indian American history. It's a lot of random words. 17 Americans famous people quizzes famous 17 Native American famous people quizzes. Native American history quiz. How well do you know these Native American figures? And then for this one, we have Native American history quiz. Same quiz. How well do you know these same quizzes? Same quizzes. Same quiz. Ooh. You want to try the Ducksters? I like Ducksters games, but I haven't used too many of their quizzes in the past. So this one is titled Native Americans Test Quiz. Questions on this quiz are based on information from this. Lovely. All right. 10 questions. Number 1. What are some terms used to refer to the people who first lived in America before the Europeans arrived? American Indians, peoples, Native Americans, all the above. Number 2, why were Native American Indians? Because the first explorers to come to the Americas were from India, because they first came from the land of India, because Christopher Columbus thought he had landed and assumed the natives were Indian, because the name Indian sounded similar to the name that they used to refer to themselves, because the East Indian Trading Company had exclusive trading rights in the Americas. I'm not sure. I know I always hear this one. I've always heard this one, but I think later on I heard that that wasn't the case. I'd hope that it was because the name Indian sounded similar to the name that they used to refer to themselves. I don't know. I know I definitely heard this at some point. And I think this might also be true. But it might be true because of this. I'm going for this one. And if this is true, then that might support Christopher Columbus a little bit too. All right, true or false? Before the Europeans arrived, Native Americans only lived in the western half of the United States. I think that's false. 4, what is a group of Native American peoples based on their culture and language usually called? A tribe, a country, a clan, an empire, a dynasty. On their culture and language, I'd say a country. I know tribe is very common, but I think that's a smaller group within a country. Native country. I think it's a country. I'm not sure. 5, how do archaeologists know about the history and culture of Native Americans? By stories passed down from previous generations of Native Americans, by digging up tools used by Native Americans, from notes written by the first Europeans to arrive in the Americas. Pretty sure it's a combination of all of them and maybe other things. Where do most of the descendants of Native Americans live today? In the wilderness, on various places around the country and the world, on reservations, in tribes. There are no descendants of Native Americans still alive. Various places. Which of the following are names of Native American tribes? Cherokee. Okay, so I think pretty much we have the answer to the other question. The better answer might have been tribes. But anyway, Cherokee, Navajo, Apache, or Apache, Seminole. I think all of them are. What are the lands that the United States government set aside for Native Americans called? Plains, colonies, reservations, counties, or boroughs? Reservations. True or false? The Native American tribes were constantly warring prior to the arrival of the Europeans. Constantly Constantly. I'm going to go for false. About how many Native American tribes were there? Tribes? Okay, yeah, that's fair. Hundreds doesn't sound like enough. Millions sounds like tribes. I'm going to go for millions. Hundreds just doesn't sound like enough. If we're talking about the same language and culture, the same language and these same, right? And are we saying the language is the same and the culture is the same? Because the language might be the same, but the culture might be different, or the languages might be similar, but different cultures. Maybe similar cultures, but different languages, because the groups traditionally, and indigenous groups in general, are very nomadic. I'm going to go for millions. If we're talking about America and how many people there are and how many people it takes to make a group. I'm going for millions. Okay. So all the above because Indian sounded similar to the name because okay, all right. He thought he landed in India. Okay. Okay, yeah, we already talked about country tribe. We already talked about Columbus. Hundreds. I still stick by my answer for millions. What do we think about millions? Yeah, I'm going for because if you think of every family at this point in time, you know, anyway, all of the questions that I was unsure about, it seems like I got them wrong, but that's okay. I'm a little familiar with the topic. So let's go in and start thinking about the time frame and how many bookings. So for this, there will always be, the 5 that we're bringing on for this. Time frame. Let's do spring. Let's just do spring. And rolling down a little bit. The topic of botany. So the reason why I thought it was possible Charles Curtis was the same guy, the vice president, the representative, the congressman, the senator, the same guy as the botanist, is because it's possible he was still very connected to his native roots and might have been very connected to traditional land practices. Perhaps I'm not saying that that's a fair make, but that's the direction I was going in. I'm glad. I feel like I have a little bit of encouragement to go deeper into botany. So I'm going to look into the branches of botany. Branches of botany. Botany is the scientific study of plants divided into core, applied, and organismal branches. Key branches include morphology, anatomy, internal structure. Well, anatomy is the internal structure. Morphology is form, anatomy, internal structure, physiology, function, ecology, environment, taxonomy, classification, and genetics. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. I'm just going to try for the first 5. So we'll do morphology. I'm going to look at another source. This. Botany, branch of biology that deals with the study of plants, plant classification and the study of plant diseases, and of interactions with the environment. The principles and findings of botany have provided the base for such applied scientists or sciences as agriculture, horticulture, and forestry. Depended upon them as sources of food, shelter, clothing, medicine, ornament, tools, and magic. Today, it is known that, in addition to their practical and economic values, green plants are indispensable to all life on Earth. The energy of food, which makes all life possible, as the sun and plants. Such recognition is that worship of the sun was often combined with the worship of plants by early tribes and civilizations. Going to see if we have the branches. Wow, I should have seen if there was a link. Areas of study. Yep, same. All right, morphology. So let's just stick with that. And physiology. Then we have ecology. Systematics. Well, systematics is the same as the taxonomy. I think the one that's missing here is genetics. So maybe systematics is for this mixing taxonomy and genetics, but there's still one other one that was on Google that isn't here. There's morphology, physiology. I don't remember. Other subdisciplines. Let's just do systematics. And then we'll choose one that looks interesting from other subdisciplines. Or I'm just going to choose 2 from subdisciplines. Ooh. Let's do bacteriology. And then Let's do algae. I'm not sure what we'll find. I remember there was some museum, I don't know, somewhere in Europe that had a pretty good selection of workshops or lectures, particularly about bacteria. And I remember looking for a while for something related to bacteria. So I'm a little concerned about the bacteriology, but we can always come back to the subdisciplines to find something else. So let's see what we can find for botany and morphology. I'd like to feel a little bit more excited about this. So, workshop about the different parts of plants. Let's see if we can find plant morphology tourist attraction. And we'll go from there. Plant morphology tourist attractions such as renowned botanical garden specialized exhibitions offer visitors intimate in-person views of the structural forms, patterns, and diversity of plants. Key sites include Kew Gardens in London, Riverbanks Botanical Garden, and specialized exhibits like Plantasticus at the Exploratorium, focusing on plants, patterns, and adaptations. Yeah, of course. Very exciting. Botanical gardens do make plants very exciting. I have been to a botanic garden and they do have different events and they are fun. So the Kew Gardens in London, that one, ooh, because this particular Charles Curtis, again, I'm not entirely sure. Now, I just want to clarify that I am certainly talking about with the books in particular, Charles Curtis, Vice President, Calvin Coolidge. Expanding that into botany with someone of a similar name who I'm curious might be the same guy. But I'm not arguing. I'm not intently arguing that they are the same person. I just want to make that clear. Because I haven't done enough research either way. Okay, I'm not arguing that he is or that he's not. It's just something that I came across. Ooh, the Atkins Arboretum, a 400-acre native garden and preserve, providing exceptional experience in nature. What about the Riverbanks Botanical Garden, South Carolina? Okay, Riverbanks Botanical Garden. Mm-hmm. 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 I was watching a show earlier this week that mentioned a zoo. I took note of it somewhere. Might come up some other time. West Columbia, South Carolina. All right, physiology. Morphology, physiology, the purpose of plants. So when I think physiology, it puts me more into the frame of mind of herbology. So, plant physiology is the subdiscipline of botany concerned with functioning, metabolism, and behavior of plants. Yeah, this is more like herbology. So, I'm going to look up an herbology workshop, and I know there was an event that I found a while ago, someone who's a mixologist, and she teaches people how to make different drinks, not necessarily alcoholic drinks, that just have different plants in them. And I thought that was really cool. I've been meaning to look in for myself, but we'll see what we can find related to herbology today. Immersive experience combining botany, history, and often fantasy, featuring specialized gardens, apothecary tours, and workshops on medicinal plants. Now that's cool. Lavender Fields Herb Farm, Richmond, Virginia. How about that one? All right, let's try this one. Have I listed this one before? I don't think so. The store. Tuesday to Saturday. That's great. So we're going to do Lavender Fields Herb Farm. Richmond, Virginia. Now, ecology, a tour would be better for ecology. So let's look for a tour. I'm not. Herb Farm. I was going to say I'm not saving the websites. Then I had the Botanic Garden. This says Columbia, South Carolina. I'm going to change it to Columbia. It says West Columbia. It doesn't. And we'll see if we can look for a tour. Hmm. Apothecary tours. Humorous apothecary shop, Colonial Williamsburg. I know I looked up apothecaries earlier and I had a difficult time, but I don't think I was looking for it more. This is a museum. I've not heard this before. Seller leader. Yeah, this does not sound familiar. And I have relative familiarity with the area. So I'm going to see if there's anything else. So the Hugh Mercer sounds familiar. Hmm. I think there are other locations. Step back in time and explore the fascinating world of 18th, 19th century medicine on a guided tour of Bethlehem's 1752. Not this one. Historic Bethlehem. Yeah, so I'm really looking for, I guess this is what I've searched for, but what I'm hoping for is a tour of maybe where you can find wild herbs walking tour that might ending up in kind of a natural solutions guided foraging experiences to identify, harvest, and utilize wild edible and medicinal plants, often including culinary workshops or hikes. These tours popular locations like Virginia, Wild Roots Apothecary, Austria, Bermuda. Okay. Guided walks, Wild Herb Academy, European tours, Wild Herbs and Plants, Bermuda. Look a little bit deeper. Green smoothies. I came across that, I think, a while ago. Wild Herbs and Plants, Bermuda. No, Bermuda, Bahamas. Bermuda. I don't think Bermuda is actually a place known for its foraging. Let's see places where foraging is encouraged. I remember these same searches the last time I was focusing on something related to herbology. Encouraged and permitted in various public and private locations, provided it is done sustainably and where necessary with permission. Right, that's why I'm looking for a guided tour. Guided tour foraging. Foraging guided tour. Foraging guided tour. Embark on a unique experience of foraging. Let's see. Maybe if I try to find something. Let's search Canada. How about this one? I could save it later. I'm concerned when I see certain things that are foraged for. I think they're foraging for wild foods, right? Foraging flowers, guided tour, maybe that's better than expecting using what's being found. Even though I think these types of experiences exist while looking for very common, safe plants. What about yours outdoors? Maybe just a foraging class. Okay. Cool. This is what we're looking for. Foraging course. Foraging. Oops. Tracks and roots. I think they said it was in Virginia. Is this one? They said it was in Richmond as well. Glen Allen. Richmond. I'm going to say Central Virginia. Right. Bacteriology. So we have the garden, just going to the garden. Then we have the farm. Foraging. I think there are some scientists that do shows like this. I found one before. I don't think it was for Petri dishes or anything in particular. Runs a range of conferences and seminars across its busy event schedule. All meetings aim to bring together scientists. Okay, I'm looking at Microbe TV. I think I'm just going to share Microbe TV. Microbe TV. Our podcasts. Ooh, and then they also have the calendar. I hope it's. Yes. Okay. So we just had, or of course they just had, 18th of March. Below is the schedule of Microbe TV events and virology meetings for 2025. But this is clearly 2026. Viruses, microbes, parasites, evolution, urban agriculture, immunology, neuroscience, and infectious diseases. Cool. Microbe TV.tv. Science shows for everyone. Let's see, online. Live stream, office hours. Let's see its location anywhere. Science shows by scientists. Great. All right, so morphology, physiology, ecology, bacteriology, algae. I'd just like to see a live show on the theme of science, right? Is there a show where people dress up as different types of algae and the algae puppet show or something? I'm just looking for something a little bit different than the other bookings that are here for the week. Algae children's play. Let's just see what it says. Algae-themed children's play, inclusive eco playgrounds like Warsaw's Air Bubble, which uses algae bacteria, sorry, bioreactors to purify air, and educational hands-on STEM kits designed to teach kids about aquatic ecosystems. All right. What? Air bubble. Ecologic Studio has designed Air Bubble, a children's play pavilion that uses algae and solar-powered bioreactors. What do you think about this? No. It's definitely different. Algae. What else could be? Algae power source workshop. I mean, I kind of still want to share or save the air bubble or air bubble. The Algae Foundation aims to promote the power of algae to transform human society and the environment, upon which algal biofuel strategy workshops. Ooh. Algal biofuel strategy workshops in 2018. 2017 workshop agenda. Let's see if this is still, yeah. Algae Academy. Free hands-on algae-based STEM kit curriculum. Alrighty then. Algae Technology Educational Consortium. As industry grows, demand for trained algae researchers, scientists, and engineers increases. Algae Technology Educational Consortium. Is it still open though? I need to see if it's still there. It seems like it's still there. Some more South Poland. Oh, it says Air Bubble will be available until the 31st of October 2021 during the opening hours of Copernicus Science Center exhibitions. So I'm going to put the Copernicus Science Center. So from here, one of the itineraries. "50 Plants That Changed the Course of History" is going to be our chosen book. 50 Plants That Changed the Course of History. So we're just looking to get the cover of the book, and we can pretty much do any of the plays. Where was it today? So let's just say we'll go to Lavender Fields Herb Farm. This is in Richmond, Virginia. We'll say, know your herbs. Know plant history. Study plant history. We'll just say study plant history. And it seems like what we have here, and because of what time it is, we do save the world. Great. So with that, until next reach out, keep it loud.